with us now. Two people, I think, who have strong thoughts heading into Memorial Day weekend. Scott Tranter, head of data science at the premier polling company, and our partners, Decision Desk HQ. Kurt Bardella, Democratic strategist, LA Times contributor, former House Oversight Committee advisor, also a NewsNation contributor. Gentlemen, good to see.
But not premier.
We can only have one premier here at any
only
one
one
time,
at a
right?
time. Clearly, it's over here.
All right, Scott, do the numbers say Donald Trump would be smart to pick Nikki Haley?
Clear-cut, yes. And even he knows that, right? Like, a lot of people question the quote-unquote 4D chess Donald Trump plays on his campaign. But you know what? He is a rational thinker. May not all make the rational decision, but rationally speaking, Nikki Haley checks a lot of boxes and ensures that he is, competitive or continue to be competitive in demographics he needs to win, specifically suburban females.
Hence, she's a she being the
Exactly.
most operative part of this.
She's also a great fundraiser and good on the trail. She's got a lot of good skills as a candidate.
There's a lot there.
Yeah.
I think about this, Kurt. A number of Democrats talked in candid moments during the primary, when there was a primary, how worried they would be about Nikki Haley as the nominee. I think it'd be fair to say the freak out we are seeing on the left over the non-endorsement endorsement by Nikki Haley. Is that come from fear?
I think it comes from a combination of disappointment, and if she were on the ticket,
Oh, come on, this is politics. There's not disappointment.
There's disappointment. I think that Nicole Wallace is heartbroken right now. But I really do think that when you look at the numbers, when you look at the fact that so many disaffected Republicans, Nikki Haley voters said that they would not vote for Trump under any scenario. Getting those people back into the fold, I think, is essential in an election where getting your side to turn out is going to be the difference between winning and losing. When so many people already know how they're going to vote. Everyone knows who Joe Biden and Donald Trump is. There is not a lot of new ground to have here. There are not a lot of independents. There aren't a lot of people who don't know how they're going to vote. Getting your side to show up is the most important thing. Nikki Haley coming into the fold is going to be the biggest opportunity Trump has to make sure that everyone in the Republican Party shows up and votes for him.
All right, and so many have made, Scott, a big deal of the 20% that Nikki Haley pulled away from Donald Trump. Over the past few Democratic primaries, because there were, we saw somewhere between 15 and 20% get peeled away from Joe Biden by literally nobody. So you can't beat somebody with nobody, but nobody was doing pretty well. How important is it for the Republicans to deny Joe Biden the ability to get that 20% of Nikki Haley voters?
Normally, I'd say it's not that big of a deal, but this election's looking like it's going to be decided by tens of thousands of votes in 3 or 4 states, so every little bit happens. To your point, the 20% that Nikki Haley shaved off is not necessarily out of the norm, and polling shows that 20%, Donald Trump certainly wasn't their first choice, but they don't like Joe Biden either, and so they may decide not to show up, or if they do show up, they're voting for Donald Trump. And so to your point, it's a motivation thing, especially when this could be decided by 10 to 20,000 votes in a state like Pennsylvania or Wisconsin.
See, he agreed with me.
Yeah. It's Friday.
It happened.
It's Friday. It's Friday ahead of a holiday weekend.
Every once in a while, you make a premier point.
Oh, wow.
I'm curious because there is this discussion about whether or not there's any effort by Donald Trump to go after Nikki Haley voters. You seem to have Democrats, both Joe Biden, where he is turning up the snark meter on Donald Trump and taking away the "I'm not a mean tweeter" argument. And then you've got Kathy Hochul, Democratic governor of New York, seeming to double down or triple down on deplorables. Take a listen.
For Donald Trump to be the ringleader of and invite all his clowns to a place like the Bronx, New York will never, ever support Donald Trump for president.
As he was rallying in the Bronx, if Democrats want to be the adults in the room, is the name calling smart?
I think that, again, we're talking about how important it is to motivate your side. The left wants that version of Joe Biden. They want dark Brandon and all of that, Joe Biden with the aviators on. They want some of that snark. They want to see their guy get into the ring and throw some punches. They get very upset when they feel like he's not being aggressive enough, that he's not kind of fighting fire with fire. And so if you want to get that base motivated, because they really aren't right now, let's be honest about that, showing that side of him, I think, is going to be essential for Biden.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.